and welcome to another Uncommon Sense show here. This is our number two in English, and we have a special guest today. I already announced it in Instagram, in Facebook for people that are in there. Shani Murphy will be with us. She's already there. I'm just putting an unbox thing that she's just to put a little bit of suspense in here. Jenny Murphy, she works with energy. She works with meditation. She works with past regressions. She works um, with the chakras. She can teach you a lot. I'm part of those that alumni that she has, so I learn a lot from her. But I will just say hello now to Jenny and just to tell us what she does and how she came to do what she's doing and how that changed her life. So, hello, Jenny, you're there.
Hi, Siba, and thanks very much for having me on your show. I'm really happy to come and have a chat. My journey started off 15 years ago, and like that, I was living a really fast life, and there was a lot of stuff going on in my life at the time, and I just came across Reiki, and I got such great peace out of it. And I went and did a weekend workshop and everything opened up. So basically, all the latent talents and we have a sixth sense and we have this whole system that's outside our whole body that we don't even realize is existing. And we're interacting with so much out there and we're bombarded with all this energy that's around us. And we're completely unaware of it. And when I actually woke up to what energy was, I actually got power, and I started to get really well. I had cysts, I had lumps, I was covered from head to toe in psoriasis at the time, and I actually cleared up all the stuff that I was actually attending doctors for. I had my hips were out of place. I was going around with stiff necks. I was just really a product of just living a very stressful life. And when I started to do the energy work, I just couldn't believe the difference in my life. And what I think what was even better for me was I started to become really my own person. And people noticed that as well about me. But my thinking was if I could do it, anyone could do it. And I just wanted to share that with everyone, that you don't have to be actually walking around in pain. I remember at one stage I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I had young children at the time, and it was just every single day, I was in pain. I had physical pain. I had physioric arthritis. I couldn't put my hands behind my back. I remember going to yoga, and it was like I did a workout. It was like doing a gym workout for me. I had pains everywhere. And here am I, like 15 years later. And I remember going to a yoga class, and the girl who was running it had these balls underneath, my butt. And they were saying, do you not have any pain? And here I was, no, I don't.
Not at
I
all.
couldn't feel it. So my cellular body was clear and clean, and my energy body was moving. And since then, I had no intention of ever, going out and teaching this work. But, we say coincidentally, I actually found my path and I found my passion, and I'm
So
actually
that
getting.
started to came like from something that you started to search that for you particularly, but then when you realize it that well, this is it's not only for me. This could go further. This could go wider,
Yeah.
and that's
And
how you started to get into teaching of Reiki,
it was a
doing healing
complete.
sessions.
Yeah, honestly, Seba, life took the turns, and I was ready at the time, because when I did all this work, it was like a hobby, and I just couldn't get enough of it. I went on to study psychology, and I went back and I did hypnotherapy, psychotherapy, did NLP, counseling. I just covered every area. I just wanted to know more. I started to develop myself. Did mindfulness. I did cognitive behavioral therapy. I went on and I needed to know more. But I wasn't actually working on it. Everything I did 500 clinical hours, and I did it all for free. I worked for everyone and I'd never charged. And
Hmm.
that's just how it was. And I was happy to do that and I was happy to share.
Hmm.
And then it was in 2007, my youngest daughter was born.
Hmm.
And up to that time, I had been working with so many people, but it was all for free. It was just, I loved what I did and I loved to share it. And then in the September, my husband broke his back in 5 places. And up to that point, it's funny. It was the first time in all our lives, we've known each other since we were 16, that we could have went in two different directions because
Yeah.
he just couldn't get what I was doing. And I think on some level, he's seen such change in me that he used to say, "Oh, I don't know whatever
Actually,
it is you're doing."
something is happening. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he never let me do the energy on him. And when
Okay.
he broke his back,
Yeah.
he was sent home from hospital, and um, like that, he was in pain. And I started working with him, and it was the first time that he allowed me to work with him. So I started doing the energy with him, and he never took a painkiller from the day he left the hospital.
Whoa.
And we had to go backwards and forwards. He had to have the energy released. I use the word energy. There was blockages, but it was energy.
Hmm.
He had to have
Hmm.
them released out through his wrists. He had lost 3 inches on his height. And when eventually, you know how the system works here in Ireland, eventually when he got back to the hospital, it was a year and a half later,
Hmm.
for pain management. And they were writing out prescription for antidepressants for him. And he
Okay.
said, I don't need painkillers. He said, I have, I don't
I'm
have pain.
okay.
Yeah. And and I remember at the time he developed a really close connection because they were kind of amazed with us because it's written all over his charts.
Hmm.
His whole spine is clear. Like, they did the tests, MRIs, everything, and that
Right.
cleared. And like that, I in tuned him into the energy and
Hmm.
for him to do his own work. And in that time, we had our own business and
Hmm.
we had to close our business down because he couldn't do what he
Yeah.
did. He was a painter, decorator, and our lives
Okay.
couldn't continue the same way. But
Hmm.
I had already established myself in my work.
Hmm.
And then I set up then, I think we kept our business going for 2 years. And then I set up my own practice
That's
because
what
I already
I was going
was
to ask you. That
established.
evaluated to what you're doing now, kind of. Well,
Yeah,
you're now actually speaking in congress, in festivals. There was a festival that we announced it in there, that we put it in Facebook,
yeah,
that you were part of.
the tribes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you are doing healing classes, healing teaching, Reiki teaching.
yeah,
That's how. So summarizing, it becomes something that it was a search for you that actually became a lot more wider. That you could
yeah,
comprehend that was not
yeah,
only just for me to get better, but when you saw that change, you said, well, actually, this doesn't stop here. I think I should
yeah,
go further.
yeah.
And that
And yeah,
is incredible that you could recognize it also, because sometimes people are,
well,
they see whatever is for them. That's okay, it worked, okay, I'm done, coming back to my normal life again, or
yeah.
and you were able to kind of identify and say, well, no, stop, there is something here that made me a lot
See,
good
but
to my body. Yeah.
something became alive inside me.
Mhm.
I actually, I came alive, and it wasn't just about feeling okay inside yourself, but
Mhm.
it's a sixth sense that we all have.
Mhm.
It's part of our, I would call it our energy human being.
Mhm.
It's we are energy number one, and
Talking about that, I want to go with the first question, because we are in the middle of the pandemic here,
yeah,
of, well, not here, all over the world, everybody's in the pandemic.
yeah,
um, what do you think about this that is happening? What the virus came to teach us, maybe, because we're always watching news, and like people dead, people sometimes giving us numbers, people
yeah,
dying, people that are got the virus, and the news is kind of killing your head, and sometimes
yeah,
actually I believe we have to get rid of a little bit of that. But
yeah.
apart from that, what do you think the virus, apart from all this news and everything,
Yeah.
came to teach us?
Right. So apart from it being like a virus that it's chemical, it can actually connect with all our cells because we're made up of 50 trillion cells. And this is what creates us as an energy being. Our mind, the conscious brain, unconscious brain, the mind is what, you know, creates the mindset. It creates our emotions, our thoughts and our emotions create our beliefs, and our beliefs create how we actually see and we do the world. But if
Hmm.
you were to go right back to the very, to the cells and what it is that we do, we form communities within ourselves that create all our physical organs. We have all these little antennas that go out 7 feet outside our body, and they're picking up. So we're senders and we're receivers of all this information that comes in from all around us. And
Hmm.
I would say, science quantum will tell us that we've got our own electric magnetic field. And around the Earth is an electric magnetic field. It's the geomagnetic field. And around the sun, there's the interplanetary magnetic field. And they're all like protective forces. And it's like going to the macro, out to the cosmos, right down to the single cell that's the micro inside ourselves. And we are a field within a field. And that's why we can pick up so much between one another, but
Hmm.
also it shows us that we are connected. We are all connected as one. And what happens to one happens to all. And the most incredible thing this virus has brought to our planet, this pandemic, and it has never been before, and this change has never been available to us before. But
Hmm.
we are in the middle of history as it is. And
Hmm.
for a lot of people, it becomes surreal. It's like, is it real or is it not real? Why do I feel safe? And why does things feel okay again? And really, what happened was we went into hyper survival when this virus hit us. And it was
Hmm.
like all our senses came alive, including, what the cells, what we do is
Hmm.
we are programmed to survive. We're programmed to pick, communities. And that's what we do, inside our body that
Hmm.
creates, this physical being that's all held together by this electric magnetic field. And
And
that's
this.
why, that's why we actually pick up stuff from each other, but everything is vibrational.
Hmm.
And, if our intent, so we know about the law of attraction is, God, this won't get me. I'm, totally super, healthy, and it won't. And then there's people who are in complete fear. But what fear does to the energetic body is it tears down the cells and it weakens the energy vibration in our body. And we are more susceptible to picking up virus and illness. And then
Hmm.
someone who is quite healthy in the mind,
It's
it
kind of
is
a
it is
circle,
a matter
isn't
of
it?
mind. Yeah.
Hmm.
And there's people who are 90 years of age coming home on the news. And
Hmm.
I have groups and I teach, and I have teaching groups, and we're all involved. And for 40 days, our groups, we actually did healing for 40 days from the 13th of March
Hmm.
onwards. We actually did healing out. We did planetary healing. We did healing for our families. We did healing for all the people around us. And it went global. It went to Australia. It went to Milan. It went Croatia. It went to Latvia. It went to Italy. It went
So
all around.
you can do healing in distance.
Yeah,
That's something that because
yeah,
I know that you can
yeah,
do like a Reiki session. I know that, and most
yeah,
of the people will see if they didn't do it yet, but they maybe saw it. But
yeah.
healing in distance can be done.
Yes. And what we were doing was we were actually doing a support system for the individual energy field. So, I was writing this morning, and we are a field within a field. And when we actually can bring our energy very close into us, even about 3 feet around us, and we can make it super strong. And what we do is we actually create a boundary and an energetic boundary. And people don't even realize, quantum science are proving what we do now, which is fantastic. But
Hmm.
even down to the power of the mind, that we actually can say yes and no, and the belief will actually create the outcome for us also. So we're able to actually use that power to actually keep ourselves safe and actually healthy as well. And but the energy, people, it's the invisible realm. you don't see it, but quantum, and they have created these super sensitive imagery machines that pick up all of this energy. And what I love about it is the ancients and the Eastern philosophies have known about this, and which is dated back to 5,000 years. Like, it's older than our religion, and
Mhm.
it's older than our intellect and our knowledge. And we had all the capacity for this, and through our own evolution as different generations of people, we've lost the capacity to actually have this super sensitivity that we all have. And some people have it more than the other, but it doesn't mean that only the select few have it. We can
Mhm.
all do it. And we do, like, see, but we pick up, I, somebody say to me, how did you know that, Jenny? Or how did you know just to ring me now? Or at this stage again, get people going, oh, that's funny. I was just thinking about you and you rang. But
Mhm.
I'm sure you get that as well, Siva. And what it is,
Yeah.
is we have this interconnection between each other, and we just are building up that ability to do this again. And I think at this time on our planet, we have been very fortunate because we're able to reassess where we stand in our evolution. And that's what this virus has brought to us on a very individual level, but even on a global level. And even, in our own communities and our societies, we are now deciding whether we like how we live. And for a lot of us, this fast pace, it just does not suit us. And 15 years ago, it stopped suiting me as a person. I became ill. And,
Mhm.
in our energy medicine that we work and we teach, a disease, which is a DIS, a gap
Mhm.
ease, it's a dis-ease within the energy flow. And what
Mhm.
we do is we learn to reflow it in the correct ways. And just like quantum are seeing the invisible forces of the field, they call it the field as well. We also bring in the knowledge and the know how of the chakra system, which is the energy system, which is equivalent and lies and overlies our endocrine system, which is the physical system for the physical body. And the chakras is the energetic system for the energy body. And we're not just a body, we're not just a mind. We are energy, we are mind, we're
And
physical,
that
and we're
is what it brings me the question that you were saying that and this one of the things that I felt myself without being a Reiki master or something, but
yeah,
what I felt is that um, equality slash vulnerability
yeah,
slash caring for the other, because if you don't care for the other it will affect you. I'm
yes,
talking in a basic way, but that things that you see is part of that connection or that being one, that we all came from. You were saying
yeah,
that one cell that will become everything, become our existence.
our existence.
um,
Yeah, and
s-
it did. Like when you go back, a lot of people they question religion, science, and you should, because I take the bits that fit with me,
yeah,
and we seriously have to go back. We started as single cells, and that's what we all formed from. We all formed from the same single cells, and we've got 50 trillion of these cells now. And every day, our cells are dying and they're regrowing again, and our bodies get to regrow every 7 years. So we ask that question, if that's the case, why do we regrow disease every 7 years? Why
mhm.
isn't our body recreating healthy cells? And what quantum has shown is we're not pre-designed or predestined by our genetics anymore. They've
Mhm.
shown that our genes are affected by our environments. And so, like this virus,
That's what
this
we
is
were talking the other day about the Bruce Lipton book, that he says that a cell works uh, because of its surroundings, because of the environment. Those cells are affected, and then they can
yeah,
reproduce in a different way depending on
yeah,
how you send directions from your head to those cells. So those cells
yeah,
will activate in different ways,
yeah.
and that blow my head, to be honest, when I'm reading this book. And I
It,
brought it to you the other day. We were having a chat on the
yeah.
phone, and it's crazy.
It, like, it's amazing. We are superhumans and we just don't know it. And I love, because it's just everything. It's my life, it's my passion. And you go back and you wonder, well, when did we stop using all these faculties? And it's a little bit like, here we are, my laptop wouldn't work and I'm on my iPhone. our iPhones are fantastic.
Hmm.
Technology is fantastic.
Yeah,
We should use the fantastic
within the
parts of
right
everything
use.
to help us. Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
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 And it's a little bit like, I remember we started this year, and like all my students, I was saying, like, because I'm an intuitive, and that I'm an intuitive healer,
Hmm.
and I work with energy medicine, and that's why we're able to, maybe I'm able to connect in with someone, and we're really able to work on that level. And we're not all the same. Like, we all carry our own stories, and like you see that all of your beliefs, and how, as you said, the head, the mind, how that works is how we see the world, and it's how we
Hmm.
are going to see our outcomes. And it's the difference between somebody, we talked about this, saying, well, I'm going to get to the top of that, and somebody saying, oh, if I get halfway, I'll be happy.
Yeah,
And I'd say,
yeah.
well, why don't you go all the way? And sometimes it's bringing ourselves outside our own self made boxes.
Hmm.
Some people would call it, in psychology, or on sabotaging. But
Hmm.
if we go back even to, as you said, the cell, we are affected by our environment. And it's what keeps us, what will bring us into that survival mode. And our brain has evolved through this stage in 2020 living, that we've evolved into three parts of the brain, but we are still driven by our oldest prehistoric brain, which
Hmm.
is right back into the amygdala,
Hmm.
which only, it just where it goes with images.
Talking
And
about that, I have a question about that that actually came yesterday to me,
yeah,
and we have a difference between the, if I'm not wrong to call it this way, conscious mind and unconscious
yeah,
mind or being. I don't know how we call it.
yeah.
I
Okay,
believe
so
we are raised. We are not. We are raised. We work or we live every day with our conscious mind that kind of let me know if I'm wrong, that kind of
yeah,
is a program that
yeah,
will let you go through your day saying, okay, you go to work, you wake up, you go to work, you go to, I don't know, to the gym, then you go and go to your house, you say hello to to
yeah,
your family, and then you go to bed or watch a movie and go to bed. But the subconscious that is on the back, that sometimes it is, I think it is like that, is kind of trapped or something, and we don't let him come in. And that subconscious, it is that subconscious that creates this or has these what we
yeah.
really want, what is deep inside us. It is like
Okay.
that, or not.
I'll explain it. You're right, and you're right, and you're right.
No, no,
um,
no, no, no. I'm not
so
a good
yeah.
explainer.
So the unconscious is, that's the mothership, I would call it. It's, like the way you'd see an iceberg. Well, the little part that sticks up is very small, and it's the iceberg is so huge deep below. And that's like our mind is the tip of the iceberg, and the subconscious is the deep down. There's just so much to
Okay.
it. And every single moment of your life is stored in the subconscious mind.
Okay.
So the subconscious mind is what would, um, like that, the cells that actually grow, and the eyes, and the change, and the heart that beats, and our breathing. It's our mothership. It's everything. But in that subconscious, for the first 7 years, psychology will tell us 7 years. But I've worked with people, and I'd, up to about 10 years of age, I'd find some of these really deep
Hmm.
programs, and we run on programs. So we're a little bit like, we do the macro to the moons, the planet, the cosmos,
Hmm.
and to the micro, which is ourselves. We are our own little mini universes. But
Hmm.
just like the seasons and the cycles, we have seasons and cycles. And we do 365 days a year. So the unconscious is where we store all those programs. Every moment of your life is there. Everything is held within the unconscious, the subconscious mind. The conscious mind is a little bit like the iPhone. It was only ever used for direction. It's great at giving us direction, making plans, the logic. It's all of
Hmm.
that. The unconscious mind and needs direction. So we need our conscious brain to do that for us. But sometimes what happens is we get caught in the unconscious way of living, which is called the automatic pilot. So
Yeah.
we don't think about it, because our lives have become so automatic. We have to get up, we'll do this, we'll run there, we'll get that. We can do five things at the same time, and we'll go and we'll do that. And next we're home. And we mightn't even remember getting dressed that day. We mightn't even remember that we
Yeah,
actually drove
exactly.
somewhere. And
Hmm.
what we're doing is we're living through the unconscious. We're running on automatic pilot.
Hmm.
Conscious brain is the one that I like to bring people to. I like to wake them up into, well, what do you want in life and where do you want to go? So what we do is we may look at some of those programs and decide that, here, hold on a minute. I want to slow things down. I want to think about, really, do I want to wear that? Really, do I want to do that job? Like, really, do I want to change the circumstances around my life? And I think this time has created that change. This change is available on our planet at the moment, where we can actually call a halt and actually stop. And I think we've all craved time. We've been all saying, when I get time, I'd like to do this. When I get
Hmm.
time, I'd like to go there. When I get time, I'd like to do this with my children or with my husband. Or, I'd like to start up this hobby. And all of a sudden it's Christmas again. And we haven't done
Yeah,
any of those
any
things.
of those. Yeah.
And like, even our subconscious runs how we do even our holidays. Our subconscious runs our habits. It's our programs, we run on them, Siba. And sometimes we are running our lives on a program that was created when we were 10 years old. And we never question why we react to life the way we react to life. And I'm sure in your job, you've looked at somebody going off in a tantrum and you'd say, God, they've just
Hmm.
acted like a 3-year-old.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you've got a little one and you're rearing her. But what happens is, the first 7 years of our lives, we take everything in because we are grown at such a rapid rate that we will actually take life in. And that's where we actually decide, this is what the world is to me. And even within the womb, we are preparing for the outside world. And then our first 3 years of our life, we're under the, when I like to talk energy, so we're under the aura of the mother. And then we decide, and the chakras, just like the development stages of the human being, the personality,
Hmm.
we are developing as spiritual beings, as the soul. Like, I'm Jenny Murphy,
Yeah.
and I'm living the life of Jenny Murphy. But
Hmm.
I've probably, if you believe in other lifetimes, we've had many soul journeys. And
Hmm.
part of those soul journeys are held in our deep subconscious mind. And that's why myself, as even a past life regression therapist, I'm able to go into those journeys. Psychology will tell you, are they false memories? But
Yeah.
for a lot of people, they're not, because they've created real change in their lives. And what we have gone, and the reason we've gone in a journey, is to wonder why we do what we do, and why these programs are tripping us up, and why we're not living the life we want to live. And really, if we go back to the cell, our main purpose is to stay alive, and it's the survival of the cell,
Hmm.
which will pass all that information on to the next cell. And that's why we say, if we go back to the micro again, why isn't every 7 years, why aren't we creating the change in our body to be
Hmm.
healthy again? If we can create cells every single day, and like we can, regrow a part of our body, and why is it grown in a state of unease? Why isn't it grown as a healthy body again?
Hmm.
And we go back to our thoughts and our emotions. Our thoughts will create our emotions. Our emotions are memories of our past. And our body becomes, I would say, it becomes the graveyard that holds all our past experiences. And our emotions will be the reactions to tell us,
Okay.
about our
Hmm.
past stories. And we are actually living the stories of yesterday instead of living and creating the
Themselves.
stories from today and the stories that we want to live in our future. But when we work with energetics, we're able to actually clear off all that stored energy, all that stored memory, cellular memory, that
Hmm.
actually does not benefit us today. So sometimes we're living from the fears of our past that will actually sabotage us and stop us from taking the next steps forward. So we might say, oh God, it's better the devil we know than the one we don't know. I'm going to stay in this job because, survival of the cells, it's going
Hmm.
to actually give me a life.
Yeah.
Yes, I might be living in survival. I mightn't be living, but I'm surviving. But there's so much more to life. And I think that this time in humanity and this time in our evolution of this pandemic has actually got people thinking, I want more from life. I want to do more.
This is kind of
No,
a stop sign that we were saying before that
yeah,
everybody got
yeah,
into. I was
yeah,
talking to you on the phone the other day. I was saying it feels to me that we all went into an introspective kind of
yeah,
analysis or evaluation for
yeah,
ourselves, instead of going, well, want to save this money, I want to go traveling here, I want to buy a house, I want to whatever.
yeah,
Normally normal people will ask, but it's like, okay, stop. what, what do you really want? How you feel? Asking yourself, how you feel, how is my body?
yeah.
That kind of questions that in the rush of our everyday or our daily lives, we don't do it. Um,
No, and that's it. And we would say, I'd say, if you really want to know the answers, come inside. And I think we were given the space to come inside, and
mhm,
the only one that has the answers is yourself. And that's the work that we teach. That all those answers are there, and it's to find out, well, what is it that blocks us from what we truly want in life? And I think that this time has given people that time to slow down and go, okay, we've been caught in the automatic, the rat race into the continuous automatic
mhm,
pilot. And
mhm.
now we're going, no, I want more. Why am I, like, why won't I actually change? There's people, what I've, because I kind of get stories all the time. People will text me, email me, and there's people breaking up. And, why are they doing it now? Because they were provided a space where they've said, enough is enough. I don't want this anymore. And I think people are choosing happiness even over money and over material stuff.
I
They're
think
they're
that's
saying, I
happening.
want to
Yeah,
be happy.
slowly
I want to be
happening.
happy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And question about that. We were talking about energy, but physically, people, when you talk about energy, they say, well, yes, I believe and I don't believe. Some people, you'll find people like that. And
Yeah.
what I throw this anecdote here that when you're doing
Yeah.
a healing session, I
Yeah.
think it was that you were recorded by a camera that can get different, I think, levels of energy, or I don't know how you call it. Uh,
Yeah, it was, yeah. I was actually doing a workshop, and one of the guys,
you were doing a
yeah,
workshop,
I was
and what
doing a
I
workshop.
saw.
Yeah, I was doing a workshop on energy. So one of the guys brought along this, it's like an electrical device that picks up
Mhm,
the energy of people. So they just took a picture of the whole energy body. Now there are cameras called Kirlian photography, but this was a device used for electricity and energy and that. Anyway, my husband, he was just taking a picture of me and my energy body, and it was giving me what my reading was. And
mhm.
when my husband walked behind me, my energy went up 3 degrees. And I put it up. I think that's where you've seen it. I said,
Yeah,
even
yeah,
after
that's
30
what I saw.
years, my temperature still goes up when my husband walks by. But it shows and then as he left, my energy went back to normal again. So it shows how we interact with each other. But there is in what I love, because I try to prove to the skeptics, and I would
Hmm.
have, it's mainly men, and I don't know why. They'd come and they'd sit in front of me and they'd say, my wife sent me, to see it. And I would have these guys sitting here and they'd go, what is that? I can feel that. I can. And because I work with energy and I'm able to, because I'm a master in energies, I'm
Hmm.
able to bring the energy to high frequency. And that's basically it. So we work off frequencies, and everything is energy. And Einstein said it, everything is energy, and that's all there is. And his energy equals mc squared, is that energy is everything, and it's at different frequencies. So when the energy slows down, it becomes matter. And
Hmm.
matter is like, a blockage. And when we actually release the energy, it turns back into energy again. And that's basically what E equals mc squared is.
Yeah,
So, and he says that energy can never be destroyed. So it never dies.
yeah.
It only changes in its frequencies. And now even quantum, and what I absolutely love about it, they go to the different spectrums. And what they're able to say with the cells, so in the middle of a cell is the nucleus. And what orbits the nucleus is an electron. And that electron, when it actually goes to a frequency, it emits light. So it's like, it's just
Yeah.
energy. So
I
we actually flick, and we are light and we are energy. And that's why we would say light and love, because the biggest generator of energy is the heart, would you believe? Not the head.
Mhm.
Like the electric magnetic frequencies from the brain are less than what the heart is. So the heart is the biggest generator of energy. It actually generates 40 to 60 times more electric magnetic frequencies than what the brain does. And for a lot of people, they think their brain, and you talk about the conscious brain, the brain, the heart was developed first within the womb before the brain was even developed. So, what does that tell you? And now, what quantum and science are now picking up is that it's not the brain that gets the idea. We actually, our senses pick up. So I talk about the chakra system, and I talk about the energy body. Has already, now they're only proven that we pick up the signals from outside in the invisible world, the invisible quanta. We pick that up, and we have sent through the gut the information to the brain to tell it to take action. It's not the other way around. The brain
Okay.
doesn't tell you what to do. It's
I
our
thought I
energy.
was I thought it was the
Yeah.
opposite totally.
No. So we're talking energy again.
Hmm.
So, and what we learn to do is we learn to harness the power of our energy system to make our energy system strong. And we use the anatomy of spirit, so the anatomy of our chakras. And the chakras have a psychology. So I teach people what we hold in our chakras. And if we can balance and heal what it is that got caught in the chakras. So we hold our stories in our chakras. And
Hmm.
as we actually heal through them, so basically healing is to actually unlock them and lift
Hmm.
them to a higher frequency. And all of a sudden we're into what we've learned,
That
which
is
is the
that is
law
when
of
you
attraction.
say that is when you say I remember once you said to me like you could have maybe this particular chakra blocked, uh,
Yeah.
and that happens, and every chakra kind of has a meaning of what it
Yeah.
could be happening to you
Yes.
mentally and body wise, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. And if you were to see your chakras, so it's a little bit like we go and we talk about the law of vibration, okay? And that, these are the universal laws that say that everything moves, and they move in circular, they move like the cells. So
Yeah,
now,
yeah, yeah.
and it's a little bit, so we think about the traffic moving on the M50, yeah?
Hmm.
So just think of the roundabouts as the chakras, okay?
Yeah.
So just say the first chakra is blocked, well, everything moves slowly. And we
Hmm.
don't get to the second chakra as quick. And then we won't get to the third chakra, so which is our
Okay.
power. So our power, we don't get out what it is that we need to do. And there's a lot of people and yogi and the new spiritualists coming in, and the new science and everything moving in, and they go straight to let's go and we'll develop our crown chakra. But you know
Hmm.
what? It's like developing the plane and actually not putting the energy into it. It will not lift off. You will not get lift off unless you build the energy to meet the higher frequencies. And what we need to do as human beings, and if we go into the yogi and the philosophies, we're here, you can say as spiritual beings, living a very physical life, in the form of Jenny and Siba.
Hmm.
And it's not the other way around, and it's a little bit like we're saying the conscious brain was never meant to run your life. The same way our iPhones were never meant to run our lives, and we're
Hmm.
here. And as we develop, not only do we develop in our intellect, but we develop in our consciousness. So we're actually living in a higher dimension of understanding the stuff around us. And it's a little bit like going to, the prehistoric man, and you see the evolution of the man.
It seems to
And
be that you connect
yeah,
when you connect from what you're saying,
yeah,
when you connect with yourself, with what you want, with what you really feel
yeah,
and desire.
yeah,
You connect with everything. You connect with the
your mind,
world, people
yeah,
around you. You kind
yeah,
of, how will say, you shine more. That's I don't know. It comes to me,
yeah,
and
yes. you do.
And that will
And
attract whatever
yeah,
you want, isn't it?
and you attract whatever you want.
Hmm.
Oh no, sorry about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
you
worries,
attract.
no worries.
Yeah, you attract whatever you want. I'm just wondering. Sorry, isn't this so apt? Isn't it?
Yeah,
Um, I got low battery. I'm going to plug just in case I haven't plugged it into what.
yeah,
I'm really
yeah. We
sorry.
go to
Either
a
way, we
waiting.
need
We go
energy,
to a
or
quick
we
waiting
can't
loop.
communicate. Our chakras, and it's inside our chakras that we actually vibrate out. So we vibrate out our energy, and our energy is who we are. So we vibrate who we are. We vibrate what we think, and we vibrate our emotions. And for a lot of people, they like to hide their emotions, but our emotions are our indicators of where to look, of where our energy has got stuck. So for a lot of people, being over emotional, it's in sacral. For a lot of fears, it's our base chakra holds our fears. If it's power, if we don't have self confidence or self worth, it's our solar plexus, and it's this is where our ego. So this is where all our personalities lie. And when we're able to balance and manage the first three chakras, we're able to move into heart living. So we're able to move to the biggest generator of energy. And the heart chakra is in the middle of the whole energetic system. So it's the heart chakra that actually links the lower aspects of the human being to the
Hmm.
higher aspects of the essential self, or we could say our most, higher self, we can call it, or whatever, people would like to call it.
Hmm.
So, and we're able to actually bring the power of higher knowing, higher wisdom into the everyday life, into what we feel and what we generate out into the world, what our power is. And we're able to put the power behind, where our higher thinking is. So if we look at a problem, we're able to see it at a higher aspect, as opposed to our bottom chakra, which is in a very fear way of feeling, I don't have a choice here, or I can't do that. And when we actually build up the lower chakras, we come into the solar plexus and we feel we can do anything. And you see that in a child. A child, I can do, but it's
Yeah.
life that teaches us that we can't. And then we create a program of, oh, I can't. And we're living off a program maybe from 11 years of age or 10 years of age, where we got stopped, in school, where they told us, sure, you couldn't do that. You're
Hmm.
not clever enough, or maybe you're not smart enough, or that, that you're not fast enough, or that you wouldn't be good enough. And all of a sudden, we don't even realize, like in the automatic pilot, that we're still living our life from that same belief system. And
Hmm.
when we actually do the journey into ourselves, and we do the anatomy of our own spirit, of our chakra system, and the psychology of it, we start to question our programs. And we also, as we come in, it is a very meditative way of, like, we go in and we do a healing system of where we actually stay within the one space, which is a mindfulness way of paying attention on purpose to something that's going on inside us. So
Hmm.
even, how we're feeling would be a great indicator to what's going on, or what we need to do, or what we need to change. And that's what this virus has brought to many people. We
Shani,
have created
you
branded.
mentioned there, sorry, mindfulness. Can you explain what that is? Because
Okay.
mindfulness is really, I
Yeah.
think people take it in so many different ways. And
Uh,
sometimes people use it for sport,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
what it is.
Well, really, like what mindfulness is, it's like paying attention on purpose in the present moment. So
Okay.
we talked about our unconscious mind. Well,
Yeah.
that's doing a million different things at the same time. Okay.
Yeah.
And what we do is we actually zone in instead of zoning out into the outside world. We
Hmm.
zone in to our inner world. And I think what we use is we use the breath. So we actually use the breath to actually slow down. We slow down the processes of the mind. And the mind
Like you do
works
in meditation, isn't it?
like what we do in
When you.
meditation. And people they will do that through just walking. So they mindfully walk, or they'll
Hmm.
decide to mindfully eat that apple, before it's
Yeah.
gone. It's while you're
Yeah.
driving the car, you're munching on the apple. So
Mhm.
what it is a practice to actually slow you down out of the automatic pilot. And it's in these moments, and especially the difference, I suppose, with the meditation is that you're actually, it stops you from going into a really deep meditation. You just stay watching your breath, or you stay watching your thoughts.
Mhm.
And it's kind of really what it does. It's to give you that knowing of how you operate, and how your thoughts are, and how your thoughts affect your moods or your feelings. When I'm doing work with people, I teach them how to be mindful and how to actually sit with themselves. And
Mhm.
then also, what I do is I actually drop people down into their deep unconscious, where we can actually change some of our programming. And we take it one step further with doing energy work, where we're able to actually sit in that space. And I call it like we're able to trance. So we're able to actually breathe in a slower breath, and we go into the alpha state. So we go around, and we see our life in beta. But what we do is we're able to bring ourselves down into alpha waves. So we're talking about frequencies and wavelengths
Yeah.
again. So we're
Mhm.
back seeing ourselves as chemistry and biology, and it's where we bring the East and the West together, and we're able to actually take our knowledge and our knowing, and we're able to then bring in the wisdom of, the philosophies of life, and realize, well, I am more than a mind. My mind might do this, like the way I'm more than an iPhone.
Mhm.
And and the same thing, it gives our life's direction, like the
Mhm.
same as the conscious brain. It's able to record, it's able to plan, it's able to think in advance, it's able to do this. And we're able to design our lives. We're
Yeah.
able to,
So
create goals.
that is living a little bit more in the present. Sometimes we
Yeah.
go too much into the future, isn't it?
And,
We're
and, and
thinking our plans, and
yeah,
until we get
yeah,
there, let's say we have a plan for 5 years, but
yeah.
you are the 5 years thinking in how to get there instead of enjoying those 5 years until you get there.
Exactly. Yeah. And do you know what teaches this? And what I love about, we've got our families, we've got our moms, our dads, our grandparents, and I love the wisdom of living a life. They said if you could only put an old head on young shoulders, it's the other way around. Imagine what we'd achieve. But do you know what it is, Siba? In all fairness, it's the wisdom of living a life. That it's something we should never um overlook. It's what our generations and our older generations think that they can give us. They give
Mhm.
us wisdom. They give us the advice of a life lived, and what I should have done better.
Mhm.
And for a lot of people, they'll say, "Oh, I'm going to work till I'm whatever, and then when I retire, I'm going to live." Now, why? Seriously, that's how the logic works. You like what, why? And then I tell you how the body works. It runs on this ephron, and what we do is we predict. It's predictable stuff where it will give us, the cortisol we need. Like you run on targets. Unfortunately, we've got
Yeah.
this neoliberal model that's come in on
Yeah.
how people do business, and we all have to self-evaluate, and we have to go faster and do better and
Yeah.
reach targets and do all of this, right?
Efficiency and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you know what it is? It's pushing people faster than what's normal or natural, and creativity is a thing. If you take 5 breaths and come down and slow down, you will get more mileage than going 50 miles an hour and actually running into a pole. And what mindfulness does is it actually brings you down into a place where you're able to plan plan again
Mhm.
before running ahead. You say, here, come back again, and just decide what you want to do, where do you want to go.
And this brings
It's
me because
yeah,
this brings like I had a lot of discussions when I was young, with my parents or family, in where people were saying, well, you'll have time. They will say, you go
yeah,
study, then you'll buy your house, then you get your car, then you get married, and then whenever you retire, then you can go and see the world. And
yeah,
you know how much I love traveling.
yeah,
But I was saying, well, actually, sorry, no, I need to do what I like, that is traveling, before. I want
yeah,
to live it, not when I'm 70 years old, and I'm retiring almost 70 years old. Like,
yeah.
no, I prefer to do it when I'm 20, 30, 40,
You
and
have the energy. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is something that it comes to us sometimes as a rule from our parents, from grandparents, and I believe it's not easy because people doesn't have the strength sometimes to go against that,
So I
you know,
know.
and
Yeah.
they kind of leave
Yeah.
whatever they actually love to do behind just to accomplish those things that are not yours actually. you
Yeah.
know.
And we're talking again about being in survival mode.
Yeah.
And that's what the point I was getting to. And then you'd hear people getting to retirement and then hearing, oh my God, they had a heart attack or they died, or oh God, imagine living all that life and leaving all that behind. And like this is where you can't take it with you. You know, it's then they are there's been all this research done. I remember in this nursing home, and they asked people at the end of their life what were their regrets. And some of their greatest regrets were not spending time, like missing time. And I think we've created a society that are missing time. And even besides that, we're actually been driven by, our societies, our leaders. They're telling us to go faster. It's become a fast food life,
Yeah,
where we can
fast food
do a
life.
drive
Yeah.
through, get food. We'll eat that food, but that
Yeah.
food doesn't nourish us. And after a while, we either feel sick or we feel hungry again. And the
Mhm.
fast food lifestyle is not working for us. And, where there's nothing as nice as making a nourishing meal, sitting down, taking the time to digest it, and our body is actually processing it. And that's similar to life. And, the body, it's absolutely a miracle in itself that will actually give you, Siba, the cortisol, the energy to get to the end of one of these projects, work that you're going to be evaluated against. And
Mhm.
you're not even given a day to relax. And it's go, go, go again, make more. And we're going to up that profit and you're going to have more, 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 more. And it's like the whole world has taken on the stock markets. Years ago, we'd look at these movies and you'd go, is that real? And now all of a sudden, here we even are in Ireland, and we're all actually running a fast life where, there was a time, and I know, in all our philosophies where we could go and sit with the grandparents, we could go to the neighbor, a neighbor could drop in, and now they're saying, would you be around, or you're making an appointment to go and just drop in to see a friend. Whereas before, you just turn up and like I know I could turn up in my mother's doorstep any day and I know my mom is home.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of kids that know their moms aren't home, you know, and, society has done that where we have to have, two people working
Mhm.
to have the life and to have the money and to have, the finances and everything to live. And, there's people that are burnt out, before we
It
start
came to me.
January.
I give you an
Yeah, there was
example.
people burnt out.
I
Yeah,
give you an example. I worked in multinational companies, and sometimes you get some to chat to people inside your work, and you're chatting around and say, what do you want to do in the
yeah,
future? You want to become. And sometimes I said, to be honest, you know what I want to have my own house, and then I want to have a caravan, and then I want to travel the world. That's all what I want. I don't want to be rich. I don't want to be the CEO of this company. I don't want.
I
I
know.
don't want to get. I don't want to be the director of this department. I just want to get that and enjoy
Yeah,
it. And
I know.
people were looking, and I saw it many times, not only once. People looking at, well, getting a caravan or something, and what else? And I said,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
it. I was saying,
And
I will
do,
live
do
for
you
that.
want to know something? At least you know what you want. And this is where the logical brain comes in. It's the practicality. So I know if I want to live that life, I know that I need to now get behind me X, Y, and Z. And that's where I'm going to move towards. So what you do is you're planning your dream, but you're
Hmm.
also walking and you're living every single day and you're walking alongside it. And I think there's nothing like a birth or a death that will waken us up. It gets us thinking about what we want in our
Yes,
lives,
exactly.
and
Yeah.
it gets us thinking. And this slow down in this fast pace, I don't see it as a mistake. And I know, for a lot of people, you think about the virus, what did it do? See, but we had this conversation.
Hmm.
It actually attacked people's lungs. But
Yeah.
what has our fast pace of life, us as a human species, what have we done to our planet. We have actually squeezed the life out, our oxygen. Look what we've done. Look what
Hmm.
we've done to the wildlife. We've
Hmm.
we've brought our planet towards extinction. Like seriously. And you know what they're saying? Even I told you about this interplanetary magnetic field and the geometric field, magnetic field that's around our planet. Do you know that over 150 years, in the 1800s, they measured the strength of that electric field around our planet Earth? And it
Hmm.
has actually, over 150 years, it has actually decreased by 12 or 15%.
Whoa,
We've done that in 150 years.
that is crazy. If we keep going
Yeah,
that way, we
yeah,
yeah.
that's what we have done now. People talk about our life and nature and species on our planets. There's a whole group that are actually recording the very last bird or the very last insect or the very last animal. And we have actually cleared out whole um, nature. We've cleared out plants, wildlife, insects, everything.
Hmm.
Our generations have.
Yeah.
We've done that.
And
That's what man
and
has
it's
done.
nature's, maybe it's nature
Yeah,
giving us a
yeah,
message back
yeah.
saying,
Yes.
well,
So
hmm,
what nature has done, like, like without going into, I'm an intuitive, but I had
hmm,
this vision, at the start of the year, and I was brought under the water, and it was very strange. Like, I don't know why I'm sharing this, but I will share it. And I
hmm,
could see, I was shown all of this, like life forms. I was shown that there was food, there was plants under the sea. And I remember thinking, because I had a terrible fear of water, and I was going, well, I'm under the sea, but I can breathe, And it was so vivid, Siba. It was so vivid that I went,
hmm,
oh my God, I can't breathe underwater. And I was told, you're okay. And I was shown under the sea. Now, I didn't know anything about that, but while we were here, I was watch it. It's called, I think it's called Chasing Extinction. And it
okay,
actually went into that we have actually cleared out the sea and the plants in the sea. And that
hmm,
plankton in the sea is what it's the other part of the lungs for a planet to breathe.
hmm,
And like our trees, in our evolution, I told you we started this conversation that we were single cells.
hmm,
And that's what we started off at.
yeah,
Cyanoplastic. And we have this anyway, but these single cells, it took us 1 billion years to learn how to breathe, which is amazing, isn't it? And then it
yeah,
was from those single cells that we created the oxygen that we're now breathing on our planet. And that same single cells are in our green plants today. So that's why we would think, oh, it's so as the trees breathe out, we breathe in. And as we
hmm,
breathe out, our trees breathe in. And it's the nature of our planet. And this virus has actually attacked the lungs of us, the human species. If you notice, it's not the dogs, or there isn't really, we haven't really heard of our dogs or
no,
other
no,
life that are being
no,
affected by
yeah,
the COVID-19.
hmm,
And so we understand what that's like. But what's happened as we have all been put into isolation, the planet has started breathing again. And it's not the cows that have caused the problems. Seriously, like everything is kind of returning back, and our wildlife is coming in, and like nature is come alive again.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
kind of shown us. I don't know. I had this conversation with someone. Look, what is the rocket fuel doing? What is our journeys traveling? The way we do. Like we can do 10 flights a year. Like that's fantastic. But at what cost to our Earth? And if it's to come to a time again where we decide that we go and we travel once a year, but we make it really good, but also as a result, so is our nature and our world, and we're coming back to balance again.
hmm,
Will that be worth it for everyone? Like,
yeah,
will that cost? Will we be given back to nature and to the earth and back to this system of us all breathing together as one again? And allowing for what they were doing. See, but in all fairness, like taking the fish out of the sea and turning it into
yeah.
fertilizer for
I
the
saw
earth.
that. Yeah, yeah,
Like, why?
yeah,
Why would you do that?
hmm,
And there's whole, like the sharks
Mm,
were being hunted for their fins
yeah.
to make,
And you could
you know, and
see
for
now
medicine,
animals
and
coming back again
yes,
you saw dolphins where you wouldn't see normally. You'll see animals coming into the cities, foxes into the cities, into
yeah.
the main cities. I mean, a city center. Um, I'm conscious about the time now, Jenny, because we're
But
running
but
out.
but
Yeah,
but we are one organism. Like
yeah,
basically, we're coming back that we are all as one.
yeah,
And like you said to me,
yeah,
about how somebody can feel another person's energy. Well, simple, quite simple. You
yeah,
walk into a room, and you
yeah,
wonder why somebody who's come in, why you feel,
yeah.
oh,
I
this
ask.
about them. Well, you're picking up their energy. My energy field is picking up that energy field, and it's a little bit like we're talking to each other, and you'll either go, oh God, I like something about this, or I feel at ease, or I get a
Yeah,
sense that
you
these
feel it,
people
but
are
you don't know what
talking.
is happening. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're picking up, even though it's cross wavelengths. But
Hmm.
the same with the radio wavelengths, it's the same wavelengths that we use.
Yeah,
Like we're talking about 5G, and I'm talking about the seven chakras. So
yeah,
we're
yeah.
talking, if we were to think in terms of, they are our gauges, they are a 7G, as well. And we can create within us any frequency to override the electric man-made frequencies of 4G, 3, 5G. And
Hmm.
I think, my husband said to me here, why is it that it keeps breaking down when you're using it? And it's a little bit like, I mess up electric systems, and it's my energy field, because I'm able to go to high vibration,
Hmm.
interfere with the frequencies, and that's why we
Yeah.
jam. But see the way I'm on my phone has got used to me, and I've got used to my phone. But I blow up computers, I blow up phone, I press lights, and the lights blow. And
Yeah.
it depends, on what energy. And we're talking about energy. I remember walking in here when my husband was really kind of feared the energy that I was doing, you know. And I walked in, and he had all his solar lights in the garden. And I was after been doing an energy healing with a group of people. And I walked in, and all the solar lights came on at the same time. And he went, oh my God, but it's so exciting to know that we have a whole other aspect of ourselves waiting to be discovered and utilized. Science will tell us we only use 10% of our brain. This is using the higher consciousness and opening up to higher levels of us as superhuman beings. We are supernatural. We are natural, and we're super. And we should actually start harnessing the power of our chakras, our energy, and not being afraid, not getting stuck in our first chakra, and not being controlled by our brains, but
Mhm.
actually learning to actually harness everything and all our God given gifts that we've got to live the best possible lives. And the more people that shine out, and they call it the 100 monkey effect. The more people that lift their vibrations, we are lifting the vibrations for the rest of them that aren't getting to do it. And like we talked about doing the distance healing for 40 days. Well, anyone that was in our healing circle, Sipa, they didn't get the virus. And the ones that did recovered. Even there was, one of the guys, his mother, she was on the news,
Yeah.
that came home, in RTE,
Yeah.
and survived it. My dad, 76, survived it. My mother kept telling him, there's nothing wrong with you, it's the flu. His
So
belief was,
if you have to say, Jenny, a last message to finish up, a last message to the people that are around the world now surviving this, or going through this,
yeah,
um, what would you recommend from your teaching, from your experience, from your knowledge, that people should be doing apart from the outside? I'm talking more about the inner side. But what do you recommend, just as a last message before we go? Um,
right.
just to say to them, what do you recommend?
What I'd say is breathe. If you're feeling, if you're feeling fear, breathe. There's one of the great things about our technology is, go online and get breathing exercises.
Hmm.
What I love is a body scan, and detach from the brain, distract it. It's brilliant. It's like distracting a child that's looking for your attention. Learn to come into the parasympathetic system and come out of the survival mode, which is, fight, flight, and freeze. Use your breath to bring you into that parasympathetic rest and digest. And we can do that with our breathing. Like, it's very easy. If you breathe in for the count of 4, in through your nose, and you hold it for the count of 4, and then you breathe it out for the count of 4. And if you do that 4 times, you'll bring yourself into reset. On YouTube, it's not a very good quality one, but it's there. And if you look up Jenny Murphy, you'll find I've actually done one for COVID-19. And to bring people into grounding, it's very important that you get your energetic body on this ground. So you need to ground. And there's a thing called earthing. So even taking off your socks and your shoes and standing on green grass without even thinking about it, it's not a thought thing. It's actually an energetic thing. Your body will balance to the frequencies of Mother Earth, which is its human resonance, which will actually ground your frequencies, and you'll start to harmonize with the earth, which is out of fight and flight. So even that alone, walking around in your bare feet is brilliant. And for you with a little baby, Siba, for colic or anything, you take
Yeah.
the baby out, you put the baby in your own arms, and you take your socks and shoes off, and you walk on the ground, and you will earth the baby itself. And it's great for colic. So, that's just another thing that it shows you. But I think grounding for one, bringing yourself into centering,
Mm-hmm.
using your breath, coming down into yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
if you've got anxiety and panic, do something about it. Do not suffer in silence. You don't need to. There is resources out there that will actually help you to actually come into yourself and, learn about your energy, learn about your chakras, learn about, that we hold some of our programming and that it's getting in the way of us feeling safe and secure in our lives today. And, we only get one life to live. And, have your best life. Don't survive. And I think when you actually come into your solar plexus and into your power, you start to trust yourself as actually known better, and you tend to not go out to get other people's opinions, but you tend to come in and you find the answers for yourself. And, it's true. Philosophy will tell you that, the answers are all within inside, and it's not a meme. But as you develop yourself, you'll start to trust yourself and know that there is a lot more to life than 9 to 5, struggling, worrying. It's time to live your life. And if you're not happy, only you can change, what's not working in your life. It's not a one size fits all. And we all have our own lives. And it's about us developing and living our best life. And living your best life actually affects your kids and the next
Change has to come from
generation.
you, inside you, isn't it?
And you become the teacher, and
Mm-hmm.
you become the teacher for your little Valentina, and we all become the teachers, and we do a better job, than our parents. And that's what evolution is. And it's taking the good stuff. It's not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It's taking the good stuff and actually going to the next level of evolution and deciding that we want more. And I think we need to reverse some of this stress response in life. And we need to reverse how, our elders and how the past generation has kind of brought us to where we are. And we need to leave the planet a better place for our kids. And not to leave them in debt, not to leave them worrying, not to leave them, oh, well, if I work and save this, I'll give them all this money and they'll have a better life. It's not about that. And I think, what you said, Siba, about us seeing the world, what this has taught us is rich and poor, we're all the same. And we need to look after the next generations, and we need to divide what we've got fairly among the rest of our humankind, and even down to our little creatures and everything else that get to live on this planet Earth. This, we're here, and we get to live this life, but we need to help those that are not as fortunate as us. And I think what I believe this time has shown people what isolation is like, what it's like to be in jail, really, what it's like for those,
Yeah.
for all those people that are displaced, the refugees. They
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be refugees. Everybody wants to eventually go home. So why not help home to be a better place for everybody? And why not instead of pumping money into war, why don't we pump money into peace and make this world a better place? Like seriously, and as Gandhi said, the change has to happen with one person, and we all have to learn. And a little bit like, there was Nelson Mandela, he was there and he was held hostage, but he never was held hostage to his mind. And we just have to learn how our mind can control us or how it can empower us. And it's like those old ancient fables, like there's a lovely one, and it's about, the Indian one about the wolves, and they said, the little grandson said to his grandfather, why do you look so worried? And he said, it's like I have two wolves inside my heart, and one wolf is vengeful and hateful,
Hmm.
and is so destructive, and the other wolf is peaceful and kind, and and thoughtful and caring. And the grandson said, "Who's going to win? This war?" And the old Indian chief said, "The wolf I feed." And I think on an everyday level, we all have that challenge where we have to evaluate for ourselves,
Hmm.
what is our inner conflicts, and what conflicts with us in life. And don't allow the fast pace of life to tell you to run faster and to move quicker. And
Hmm.
sometimes the mind, it'll procrastinate, and the mind will also, as a safety mechanism, will let us forget what it is that we want and the change we want. Because at the end of the day, the rational mind, it does not like change. It doesn't like
Hmm.
change because change threatens our survival. So we would prefer to be doing the same jobs in the same relationships and never seeking to go on that plane because we're afraid to ever try to look outside the box. Like, back in the day, they thought the world was flat and you never go to the end because you'll fall off. But
Hmm.
the first guy that decided to go to the end and found a beautiful waterfall and actually
Yeah.
swam with dolphins, what life would you prefer to do? I think, we've got to override our fear and override our first chakra and develop up into our hearts and start living a life where we actually love, and where we don't have to be in war and we don't have to always fight, that conflict between what's safe and what isn't safe, and use the critical brain to tear, to discern between, what's right for us, and what our desires are and what we love, and then use the higher consciousness in the law of attraction, the law of vibration, and the law of all this change and growth and all the laws that are there, that
Hmm.
we are always changing and we're always moving, and things are always changing and moving, and we need to change and move, and we should be always moving forward in the direction of evolving into the next stage of our lives, but always leaving behind a really good footprint, And if something doesn't work, well, that's where we learn that something needs to change. And that's what change teaches us. And at this moment, the world isn't working. It really isn't. We're driving ourselves to distinction. So something isn't working, and we need to leave somewhere for the next generation to
Yeah.
go. Seriously, we've billions of years left on this planet,
Hmm.
so let's come back and have some great times. Let it be the next holiday we come that it's absolutely even better again, and
Perfect.
our journeys, our souls, it's like coming here on a holiday. And
Yeah.
I was explaining this to someone. You can either go on a holiday and it can be a nightmare holiday where the food was terrible, was absolutely horrible, the climate was, and we got robbed, or
Hmm.
we could go on a holiday and we met great people. The weather mightn't be good, but we got to see absolutely fantastic places. And you know what? It was great value, and I've come back with great experiences, lessons, and I know how other people live. There's two ways of
Perfect.
seeing the world, isn't there, Siva?
There is two ways, and hopefully people start to get into the second one actually that you were saying.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
well, thanks a lot, Jenny,
Uh, Come here.
for being
And
part of the
uh,
show.
do you know what I
And
wanted to say also?
Yeah.
Our tribes, we've created a tribe. Before tribe was a popular word out there in the media,
Yeah.
but the groups and all the people who've trained from me, and we're all similar-minded people, and
Yeah.
we've come from every walk of life, every walk of life.
What is
But
your Instagram actually?
yeah,
If you can
we
tell your
developed.
Instagram, yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's
Facebook.
called the Vibe Tribe. So if you go onto Instagram, it's the Vibe Tribe, and it's Jenny Murphy. And if you look Vibe Tribe Jenny Murphy, or
Hmm.
www.vibetribe.ie. And like that, my work has all evolved and it's come up now. It started off as insights work because I was working with the mind. It went to angelic blessings because I was working with healing and
Hmm.
energy and every type of higher frequency that's available on our planet. And then now it's gone into, the Vibe Tribe, where we want to be a progressive, moving forward group of people that want to make
Hmm.
a change, and we really want to
Set that
leave the
footprints.
footprints for the next generation. So Siba, thank you so much
Perfect.
for inviting
No,
me on
thanks
today.
to you
Thank
for
you.
join us on the show, and hopefully maybe in the future we'll have you again to give
No,
us
I'd love.
more lessons and more teachings, and hopefully people
Yeah.
go and
And
think a little bit more into
yeah,
energy, and how
and
to
and
use
don't
it.
be afraid. I think my message is, don't be afraid. Honestly, don't be
Hmm.
afraid, and surround yourself with people that care. Seriously, I remember doing going, and I was on a committee for mental health, and they were talking about bringing the mental health into apps, and bringing it online. And I was saying, what people need is human
Yeah.
connection. They don't need an app. They need to go somewhere and to feel the connection of another person. And
Hmm.
and I know, certain, I don't want to mention names, it was about connecting people, but the internet has actually created disconnection on so many levels for people. And I think it's about us taking back our power and saying, yes, we can use it for all the benefits it brings, but I think we really need to connect again as people and get out there. And I think this time has us really wanting to get outside our front doors and to wrap our arms around the people and hug all those people that we haven't seen for ages and feel connected to another human being. Seriously.
Perfect,
So,
Jenny. Thank you very
namaste,
much.
everyone. Namaste.
See you, and for all of the people that are there, just join us next Monday. We're gonna have someone else as a guest, but first, help us to by subscribing to our channel and Common Sense in English. In this case, we have another one in Spanish also, and for everybody that is in there to subscribe in there will help us a lot and put us through a little bit better. But
Yeah.
guys,
Can I
Jenny, thank you very
share
much.
that, Eva? Because some people were asking me how to get this broadcast, and I have some
I
people
will
who
put
want
it.
to
I
know
will
about the
put it.
Spanish.
No, the broadcast will go into YouTube, into our channel in Uncommon Sense in English. I will
Lovely.
post it in Facebook also, and you
Great.
will have the link in there in order to go to. So
And
um,
people can go on live for the Spanish one as well, because I have a few people that ask me about it.
yeah,
So it's on Common Sense,
and
and it's
Common
on a
Sense,
Thursday
and you
evening.
will see the Spanish and the English ones in there. The
Lovely.
videos are already there. Yeah,
Oh, fantastic.
yeah,
So thanks a
perfect,
million.
perfect. Take care. Bye bye.
Take care. Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Bye.